which I'm going to call to order.
Thank you.
Time is now 6:30. I'm going to call the February general meeting to order. In accordance with our bylaws, to the absence of the chair, I will be acting for the presiding officer for today. With that, Madam Secretary, could you call roll, please?
Yes, I will. Chair Barnes is absent. Vice Chair Mark Harper.
Present.
Teaching Secretary here. Commissioner Murray.
Present.
Commissioner Blanchard. Present. Commissioner Bunting.
Here.
Commissioner Carmichael.
Here.
All right, we have quorum with that. If able, go ahead and stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fantastic. Lynn, do you want to get Officer Myers? She's not listening. With that, there are no special acknowledgments. Under our neighborhood update, we'll start in with Zone N with Mr.
Said I'd be back.
Yes.
You guys are gonna get sick and tired of seeing me.
No.
So I just wanted to hand this out. I was here just last month. Seems like it was very
Just 2 weeks ago.
Didn't seem like it
Was
was
it?
for the zoning meeting. I was giving
It
an
was
update.
January.
That was
Yeah.
might have been. So I don't have to go too in depth. Once again, we're updating the city zoning code. The Columbus growth strategy was released by council. I believe I gave you all a copy of the Columbus growth strategy for your commission. It's an update to C2P2, and it set the land use policy in place. And now we're going to start talking about the actual zoning districts, right? And so I just wanted to let you know what our engagement plan is for 2026. We hope that you all engage with us, just as you engaged in the first round that we had in 2025. So, as you can see, here we are. If we look at this one sheet of paper I just handed out, we have our Economic and Housing Opportunity Community Engagement. We have it divided up into winter and spring and summer, and at the bottom you can see the overall project timeline. This all began back in 2022 when they did the first phase that captured like the Eastland Mall and all that other area. And now we're right here at around 2026. And if you look, summer 2026 is when we're looking to have council consider adoption of economic and housing opportunities. So, with that in mind, we have winter and spring engagement. Right now it's February. We are visiting the area commissions again, just giving you a project update, letting you know where we are in the process. In March, we are going to be having area commission and major civic chair and zoning chair meetings. I explained this to you last time, but Mark and Vangela are going to come to the Columbus, to our offices. We'll talk to them more in depth, answer any questions they may have. We'll have an hour-long meeting where we can talk about these things, and then hopefully they can disseminate that information that if you guys have questions, they can help answer those questions. There will be an area commission and major civic webinar only for area commission and major civic members. It'll be hosted by the City of Columbus. It's going to be March 31st. We invite all of you to please attend that meeting. It'll be very similar to your trainings that you do with the Carbon Neighborhoods Online, where I'm going to do a presentation. I will have with me Tony Celebrezzi, our zoning director of planning, some other individuals. I'll give a presentation, and we'll be there available to answer any questions that you may have.
What time that is?
I think we're aiming for 6:30 on the 31st.
Of course.
So we tried to align it with the times that the commissions usually meet. So 6:30 on the 31st. And it'll be proctored questions. So you'll be there, you can ask questions, and then they'll read us the questions and we'll answer them. Then in April, I'll be back to give you another update on where we are in the process, mainly to let you know where we start getting the meat and potatoes of engagement, which is May and June of this year. As you can see, we're going to have a 60-day public comment period like last time, where the website will have a survey on it. We will have updated maps. It's getting fancy. Okay. So we'll have maps. We'll have an online survey. We'll have the gallery downtown as well, where you can come in and talk to us about the project. We'll have staff there that can walk you through the whole proposal, explain to you the zoning changes that we're proposing. We can go over the map. If you have questions about specific sites, we can answer those. That'll be May and June. We'll have a webinar that'll be open to the public that you're also invited to come to. We don't have a date set for that. And we're going to start public hearings in June. We're going to be having one in May, one in June, one in July, and one in August. These public hearings will be attended by city staff, by council members. Once again, we'll do a presentation, then open the floor to any questions you may have or input that you want to give to the council members. During the public gallery period as well, we're going to organize some events, some dates where you can come and we'll have your district representative there at the gallery if you'd like to come to those events. And you can talk to your district representative, your council member, or representative, and talk to them about any questions you might have. They'll be there available to talk to their respective area commission and major cities.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, I apologize. Louis Taba, Zone and Project Manager.
Thank you. We have you on the agenda. I just want to make sure that you're in line.
Yep, of course. We'll do I think maybe in May or June, we're going to do another area commission, major civic chair, and zoning chair meeting, just so we can get feedback. How's the process going? How does your commission feel? And then from there, we'll see. We might do another visit back to the commissions in June, but we'll have to see from there. And then our goal is council will go on recess. We'll refine it. We'll take all the public feedback that we got during the 6-day public comment period. Just like we did last year, we made 19,000 changes based off of community input. So we are going to really analyze the community input and the feedback we got, figure out what changes we can make to get your support. Because we want to support the communities of the area commission as well. And then when council comes back from recess, we hope to we'll have a public hearing in August, and we hope to have them consider it at council in late August or at least.
Because we're doing recess in July this year, right?
Correct. We're in recess in July. That pushed us from July to August. So that's what I have for today to just give you an update, let you know where we are in the process. Encourage you please to engage with us as much as possible. Chair Barnes is on our zoning advisory committee. In March, we'll start showing our zoning advisory committee some of the maps that we have, so she'll be able to provide feedback. And then a vice president or zoning chair, Harper, both.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Jack of all trades. Yeah. He is also going to be in our zoning advisory committee representing Eastland for Everyone. So your commission is going to be very well represented in this act. So he can help explain some of what he's seeing, provide feedback, act as our primary filter with the chair, and then when we come back to you, hopefully we can have a conversation. So we want you to be informed. You have our contact information down here. If you have any questions, give us calls, and send us emails. We check it all the time. We're looking forward to your input and working on getting an updated zoning code for you.
For the webinar, I have a conflict with it.
Yes.
Will those materials be viewable after for those who aren't able to attend?
Potentially. We'll have to think through how we do that. It might be that we can share.
I mean, one suggestion is the commissioners do have access on our commission page where there are things that they do store, like webinars and stuff.
Okay.
So DON might be able to help with that.
Okay.
If not, I don't have a problem connecting one-on-one afterwards.
Yeah,
if it's anything important.
and you're gonna have the one-on-one with us in March as well, where we'll cover the majority of what we talk about.
Okay.
But yes. So are you saying that the Department of Neighborhoods hosts things that you access?
So on our CBIS area commission's website, there is a commissioner section in which those who have access to it, which are typically chairs and those who handle digital side, we can get in and access that stuff.
Okay.
So like they'll post post trainings that if you're not able to attend like legal training with the city attorney's office and things like that, we can go in and actually view those materials after.
Great idea. Maybe we can work with Department of Neighborhoods to have that. You'll be getting information about the webinar early next week. It'll be the invitation only, so we can limit it to the area. Get your civics.
You said 6:30, right?
6:30 on the 3rd. And then you're one of the last later commissions to meet, but next week also, I want to overkill you with information. We're sending out, we're not coming out in March. So in March, we're sending out a newsletter to all the area commissions, giving them a similar process update where we are in the process. We won't be here, but if you have any questions that you want to discuss, use this time on your agenda to discuss other things, and then feel free to send us any questions or comments.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds real good.
Anyone have any questions? No? Any last comments? Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it.
Next will be Officer Myers. Yeah, you're on deck. Come on down. Price is right.
So just a couple things for so our crime analyst produced a report for 2025, all of our calls for service for Zone 2. So you guys will be interested in that. I pulled some information off of it, put it into a little Word document because there's a lot of stuff that probably was public dissemination, but this stuff just calls for service from our CAD. This is from our CAD data. This is reports. This is police reports. This is actually just the number of times we were called. And so just real quick, the first one is total calls for service 2021. This is for all three precincts too. Zone 2 has 9, 14, and 20 precincts. You all know that. So this is all three of those precincts put together. Yeah. Greater Southeast is pretty much all 20. I don't think there's any part of 14 or 9 that Greater Southeast covers. So 20 precincts is what you look at. There's a couple charts here that do break it down by precinct. But the first one is just overall calls for service, so that's kind of interesting. Just that's how many different types of calls there are that were sent out. And then the second one is a change between 2024 and 2025. You see the red and the green. You can look through that and see there were some changes in different ones. The next one is violent crime calls for service. That's another obviously important, and they separate violent crimes out. And then on the back page is property crime. So that's all this, not as high priority theft and that kind of thing. That they break those down as well. So that's the totals, and then also the breakdown by 9, 14, 20. You can see Greater Southeast Commission area is kind of a lot of 202 and 203. You see it broke down on the charts there, and those are that's where you see a lot of the incidents at. So you do see a good many calls for service in the Greater Southeast area commission area. So, just thought those were interesting. You can look through those if you have any questions. Obviously, ask about anything. Yeah, that's all. There was a spot for 311, number 311, but that had address on it. I didn't think that was anything that probably should go out to the public, but I did notice there was a couple that were on the commission's area, and one of them was 2800 Renfriar, and I wanted to ask you, Diane, are you familiar with that spot? That's in your neighborhood.
Well, I was over there a couple times for fighting over there,
Okay.
trying to break it up.
Okay.
With one of the ladies used to be on the Civic Association and her Mexican neighbors next door, which you couldn't understand. So trying to break up a fight between two that one of the parties couldn't even understand or get through to them. But yeah, they're doing illegal. Well, they're doing. It's all been reported. So I don't care. But they're working on people's cars over there, and they're pouring out oil and antifreeze, and it's coming over on her property, killing the grass, and her dog's getting into it.
Yeah, that was under the 311 heading, so there was people are calling in 311 for that address, so that makes sense.
So you connected them to code enforcement?
Code enforcement's been out.
I just discovered this today, so 311.
No, I've been out there with code enforcement, so.
They're probably already pretty good. So there's that. Like I said, obviously you guys have any questions about that, and then one other thing, the retreat at Water Creek, which used to be the Commons at Water's Edge, they have a new, I mentioned it, or maybe Sophie mentioned, they have new owners, and great owners, and they want
Supposed to be here today, but
Yeah.
they got to slow down.
Okay, that's what I wanted to mention. They wanted to kind of come to the commission.
Yeah.
Talk to the commissioner. They're planning on trying to do big things in that area there. So maybe that'll work out next month or soon enough.
Yeah, they got snow. Their flight got canceled at the last
Yeah,
minute.
they were from the
So,
East Coast. Yeah,
and so they're rescheduling for next month. So they've said they'll be here, so we'll see. But yes, they're on the. I was thinking on the Jersey side.
they said I think it was. I think New Jersey. I think they were.
Yeah.
They would like to come here.
So this first box here is violent crime on page 3.
Yes. First
Okay.
one back page.
Property crimes. But overall in our zone, we're seeing a decrease in both of them.
Overall, everywhere I think that's been reported. There's been a decrease, but definitely it looks like on zone 2 there's been a pretty good decrease.
We're seeing an increase in the helicopters over here in Abbey Trail. Like, usually see a bunch of them in the summertime. I mean, I even waved at one like, hey, not me, I'm on the court. But when I see all these helicopters from the police that are looking down what they're doing, is that you guys' team? I never asked how that works.
We're the only ones that have a helicopter that is in service, except for state troopers, but they don't fly in our jurisdiction. So if you see a chopper that's looking like that, it's ours.
I hear, and the propellers are so heavy. I'm like, is this East Compton in California or something? Like, who's running in the wintertime? Like, I'm like, take me.
No,
I'm going to jail.
They don't stop.
Any priority call, they're supposed to be sent on, and if it's something they can get to quick enough, they'll be over the top.
So, what constitutes the helicopter coming out versus the car?
Well, the cars are going no matter what, but the helicopter, they send the helicopter out for any priority calls, so for any shooting, stabbing, burglary, robbery, anything that's super high priority, the chopper's supposed to come. The thing is there's only one chopper up in the city at one time, so they might be coming from the north side, pretty far away, and for a chopper, that's going to take them 5 to 10 minutes. But if they can get there, they'll fly with us to help out.
Question for you. If one of the commissioners wants to do maybe a ride-along with you guys, how do we go about that?
Right along, like in a chopper or in a cruiser.
Either way.
I
I
don't
got
know.
offered in Reynoldsburg, but
Yeah.
I just said, well, my commission area is over here. I never asked that question before. I probably would be interested.
Yeah, a cruiser.
It's very easy to do.
Yeah, a cruiser, it's easy. You just gotta schedule a time, you have to fill out a piece of paper and sign it, and they do a little background check on everybody, and as long as you're good, you can ride. You can pick the time, the shift, and the area of the city you want to ride in.
Who do we reach out to?
I can set it up for you if you need to.
Do you have those papers available?
Can we
I
do
can
the
send
chopper
those
one?
electronic, but I do.
Okay. We'll get them electronically.
Can we do the chopper? Can we get in?
The chopper, I don't know if I don't think they do.
They don't do it no more.
They used to, but I
Yeah, well,
Try, you can ask them, see what happens.
We need to get in, y'all. We need to see our area.
I have a question for you. For the domestic, is that high or low or? To me, I think that's high, but I don't know what the normal
Last
should
I heard,
be.
you talking about just the calls for service and
But yeah, for domestic violence.
From what I've heard across the city, that domestic violence calls are up. But they're always high. That's our number one call we go on. We go on. Probably patrol officers go on just on zone 2 at least 50 a day probably.
But
Yeah,
that's just reporting from them calling, right?
Yeah, people calling.
Yes, and there's domestic dispute and domestic violence. There's two different ones there. The standby for clothing, that's just we go and we make sure people are okay while they get
Get your
personal
stuff up.
belongings.
So what's
the
the
domestic dispute
difference?
and the domestic violence is actually where there's people going at it. And those are by far the calls that patrol goes on the most. So that's why those numbers are so high.
What's the difference between dispute and violence?
Dispute, there's no alleged violence. Usually it's just yelling and arguing and that kind of thing. But if there's any threat of violence, then it's coded as domestic violence.
Wow. A lot.
I've got a couple things for you. In January, I called the city's real estate guy. I also called Parks and Rec first, but you couldn't get anybody that knew anything there. I mean, so I called the guy that I had on my phone with the real estate people. 2 dump trucks took 2 big truckloads of dirt and it had trash mixed in it or something because it was white and shiny. And I wasn't going to drive in that field to go check it out. But I watched them. They dumped it out there at the edge of the park in the football field. I seen one guy after I called it in. He was down there picking through it with a shovel. I don't know if he took part of it with him or what he did. I don't know. But also, it's going to be a big problem over there in that area. As you know, A+ Arts Academy abandoned that building over on Mayberry. We've had problems after problems with that building, with them setting it on fire, breaking into it. In the past, but the school's still in there. Now it's vacant. It's really going to be a problem.
Yeah, any vacant is going to draw attention from those kind of folks, that kind of bad attention, that negative stuff. Is it boarded up or is it just?
It's sitting there.
They abandoned it. They won't return any emails. I've sent them several. They won't tell us why they left. I can't.
And I looked under the auditor. The City of Columbus signed it completely over to them.
So it's owned by A+ Arts Academy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Does it have any current code enforcement violations?
Well, if it's vacant and then,
No, they just abandoned.
if it's vacant and not for it, that's the code issue. What's the address?
It's on Mayberry. I want to say my house was 2619.
I'll find
I think it's 2626. Something like 2666.
The house I used to live in
2633.
2619, and it's set right out in front of the park there, or the school. So it's going to be right around 2619.
There's several A+ Arts Academies around Columbus. So
I heard the abandoned, the one over there also in Whitehall too.
so it
Yeah, that-
probably are still have a presence here. So maybe.
And so you've got the city attorney's office and CPD.
Well, I had a house full of company, and here I am. I got people calling me about the dump trucks parking. So yeah.
I can't
Huh?
find them.
And we love your enthusiasm. Right?
I can't
we
find
need you
it.
to be more sound in your judgment when you go out there. Now, when you go out, pictures, video, scan in.
Well, I sent them pictures of the dump trucks and the dirt.
I just need you from a distance. You're not caught in someone else's muck and mire.
Honey, you're looking at someone that sat in that church parking lot and sat there and was taking pictures in plain sight of them going in and out of the drug house. I ain't afraid of it.
We got that. We just know that how we ourselves are uniform, and if we're 1 on 9 or 5 or 3, it can be bad. Someone can get caught in it. Okay, that's all. Scary.
Guess what? You don't have to worry about me. Because this is 2026. Come around and find out. You know, already warned you.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a question?
Nope, just trying to keep conversation going.
Incidents by company, I was just trying, what's company A?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it's first shift, second shift, third shift.
Oh,
A is first, B is second, and C is third. Yeah, sorry, I should say.
For the sub precincts 202 and 203, what are those general boundaries?
Yeah, so 202 is kind of like Diana's neighborhood over to Chatterton, that whole area. And then even up, actually, we're on 202 district right here, so it stretches from here all the way across the tracks to those neighborhoods. 203 is basically all Gender Road south of Refugee. So it's a really, probably the biggest district, and it's probably the most, well, I don't think it's most popular, but it's obviously growing. So those are the two really big areas, most populated areas. 200 is pretty populated, but I think part of that is the South Area Commission, or whatever.
13.
The part of 13, yeah, it's
Southwest.
Williams Road, I don't think,
Yeah.
although that doesn't really.
Do you have a map of those? Okay.
Yeah, we do have, I can get that.
Could you,
Yeah.
and I can take a picture. That'd be great.
So does
I think
203 go from Gender all the way over to like No Bixby?
203 is Gender Road, everything's south of Refugee, and then that Shannon Road area, that's 203. It doesn't go all the way over to No Bixby though. That's part of 202, like Diane's neighborhood.
When we say Shannon, I'm in 203.
Yeah, it's more southern. 202 is kind of this way. Like I said, we're on 202 right now.
We'll get your map.
Well, yeah, when he said Shannon, then that's me.
But that's where a good bit of the calls for service.
so Lindora would be in
202.
202. Yep. Those two big neighborhoods.
But 203 has a lot of apartments now. They got all those apartments up and down Gender.
Yeah.
You need cruiser districts.
It's always been a huge precinct, but it's
Are they gonna do anything with that, Brandy Drive apartments?
we've been working with them for a couple of years, so Steve probably can speak to it a little bit. Steve Dunbar and his team we're working with them, and they're really responsive. They're really trying. They put flock in. They've got all their cameras working. They've got a new property manager that seems to be really on top of things. Just the nature of where that is and what's going on. They haven't been getting the results that the other apartment complexes are getting. Amberley Square.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the
I
other
mean,
two.
the calls, sometimes there's 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah, and they're aware of it, and they know they've got to try a little harder. They've been trying pretty good. It's just the other two complexes that on the precinct that we've been working with are really making really good improvements, and Amberley Square isn't. And we've been going about the same kind of the same time frame.
Well, see, that other apartment complex right across from there behind the old UDF,
Yeah.
The ones
that's why they put them big gates off of Refugee, was because of
Oh, sure.
those apartments
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there. That's why they had to fill in their swimming pool, because of those apartments. And they shouldn't have to go to all that, and their residents have to do without because of.
No, Amberley Square has been a problem for 25 years. I've been out here for 25 almost. Now that we've been working with them for maybe a couple of years now, and still we're making some improvements, but it's just like we're getting the results back. So I know Steve Dunbar and his team are working pretty hard. And they're going to try to keep that.
And that team is made up of a ton of people.
Yeah.
Just give a few examples.
Code enforcement, police, property manager, property owners, city, Department of Neighborhoods, sometimes we'll bring in refuse.
Community engagement.
Yeah, we have a whole community engagement team in our office that's made up of social workers, and prior property managers who, do outreach with the complexes themselves. We've been doing this project for, I think, just over 2 years now with different apartment complexes, and across the board, we've seen a really dramatic decrease in criminal violent issues at properties, overdoses at properties, code enforcement issues at some of these properties. But Officer Myers is right. I think it's just Amberley Square is
been holding strong to being a little bit of a problem. So we're still looking at all the ways that we can try to address the issue. And if we feel as though any of the remaining issues are related to a lack of effort on property manager, owner, whatever's part, our options are still open if we wanted to file a case against it.
The patrol is well aware of, they've always been aware of what Amber's got going on, and they do their best to try to address it if they can. In the summer, there's always special patrol units that go out there, and Amber Square is one of the spots they will focus on like a laser, but it's a staffing issue at this point, and right now we can't do any kind of special patrol.
I mean, I've called on that house at 2770. It sat empty for a while. We had problems there at Denmark, right across from the high school. They got, I hate to keep bringing up the Mexicans, but it's a Mexican family, and they are and they're doing home mechanic shops. I know that's one thing that they're into, but they can't be doing it, and that is a real problem right there. That's even worse than Glenbrier, because you can't turn that corner. They got cars parked clear up to the corner. They're everywhere, and it's a safety hazard.
And let me just say,
We're not going to start the conversation.
it's important when we talk about issues that don't bring race, nationality, just talk about the issue as it is, and let's go forward with that.
I'll move discussion on. Are we able just to make sure that they're within code and that they're not violating street parking rules or anything in that area?
If it's street parking, that would be a police issue. If it's code enforcement stuff, I know you submitted 311, so I know something like that.
What's the address there? If I can check the street.
2770.
And then code would have to address anything, like part of the mechanic shop or whatever. Have their own problem. Yeah, I can check for human contact.
Okay. I just have two questions before we're done. We're obviously experiencing a lot of growth, so how often do the precinct and the cruiser district maps are ultimately allotted with personnel or redrawn to
Great question. There's
accommodate that?
It's a timely question because there's a project that is going to be implemented March 1st that has been in the works for over a year.
Okay.
Where they are redistricting and they're reassigning officers to districts within the precincts. Nothing's changing within the precincts. So the precincts aren't changing, but within the districts, they're reallocating officers to certain areas. So the districts actually, the map we give you, that we would give you today would be changed coming March 1st. We'll go wait till March 1st to get that.
Okay.
But the city has done this, they do this probably every 5 or 10 years, and they just look at calls for service and where people are needed, and they move, kind of reallocate officers. It's all the same amount of officers in the same precinct, but they just kind of shift them around so the precincts do change, or the districts change because of the precincts. So that is happening too. So
Okay.
Great question.
I only ask this because there's an area that will butt up to 3 current districts that will be increasing by like 3,000-4,000 units over the next 5 years. And those are going to actually start coming online this year.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't know if they look that far in the future. They probably look at the past more than the future, so they're basing that off of. So in another 5 or so years, when things change like that, they'll probably do this all over again, which is normal. Like I said, we do this probably less than 10 years. It's probably more like 5 to 8 years.
Keep in mind, they do not add bodies for that.
Right.
Oh, I know.
We're kind of like,
I know. There's a lot of bureaucracy and FOP, and I got it all. Man.
They still got the rumor around where they're going to add another precinct.
That hasn't gone away. We haven't heard of that kind of rumor for quite a while. That comes around every few years, but I don't think they have any thoughts.
Well, I can remember when 14 and 20 was all one precinct.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But
Cool.
I don't think that would be just making another precinct just to make it because we don't have the bodies to do it, just moving officers around and changing numbers. So there would be no new officers.
Anything else?
one of the things that you guys be aware of what's going on in the community. I'm not sure if you already have it or not. LexisNexis Crime Map.
I'll use it all the time.
Yeah, so LexisNexis Crime Map is going to be LEXISNEXIS Crime Map. Put an address in and things pop up.
Yep.
On different colors.
Gives you a lot better.
And it also picks up Reynoldsburg, Whitehall, Bex, everything's surrounding.
And I think that's based off of actual police report.
Right.
What we got here is all calls for service that there are people calling in. I mean, most of these don't get a report. They're just all calling in. So that crime map is based off of actual reports. So you'll see actual stuff there.
Sheila has one last
Yes, ma'am.
question. The accidental shooting on a second. So there was 10 and 24, 12 and 25. 20% increase. For those resulted in death or?
If it's an accidental shooting, I don't think they, maybe some are actual fatalities, but I don't think they divide those up. If it's an accidental shooting, it's an accidental shooting. So it could be somebody shooting themselves in the foot, it could be somebody else shooting somebody accidentally from think of just discharge. But we would have to dig deeper to find out how those.
Did they put the kids shooting, where the kids are shooting? I mean, little ones, we're talking about.
Like accidental, like those ones that happened last year. Yeah, those are accidental shootings. Again, I don't know. We would have to. Would that be classified as a homicide? Would they automatically move from homicide, or would that still be an accidental?
It'll still be accidental. The thing is, they look at the homicide portion of that as, did that person try to shoot and kill someone? You know what I mean? Versus, wow, gun went off. What happened? Someone died from it. That's different. So, we keep it different categories.
Well, the one I'm talking about is where they leave their guns laying around, and the little kids, real little kids, get a hold of them.
Like the one that happened in
Yeah.
Yeah, like Officer Miller said, that's probably still considered an accidental shooting, not a homicide, even though somebody did die out of it.
And then it also goes to the endangering portion of some kid involved. They'll go to the endangering portion of that where it goes to our physical abuse unit. So it's broken down a little bit different.
Two quick questions for me. One is the police officer assault. What does that entail? Is that just, I know it sounds silly, but with the amount of, we've got people who've got all kinds of things, what are we considering the police assault? Like just coming at you guys or?
Anytime you intentionally assault a police officer, whether it's they're making an arrest or you're actually intentionally coming after them, that's considered a felony assault against a police officer. So a lot of those could be officers are making an arrest and somebody doesn't want to get arrested, so they kick an officer. That's a felony assault against a police officer. Probably that's the vast majority of it. There's probably some where somebody said, "Oh my God, try to hurt a police officer," and they go out and they try something. So there's different kind of categories of that, but most of them are just somebody's resisting arrest and they throw a punch or they kick or they do something to assault a police officer, and that's automatically it.
I just seen that number elevated a bit, and I'm just like, okay, is that from people that are, trying to resist being taken?
Well, that was yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But still,
They don't. They came and let us know months ago.
Yeah, that they don't have
They
anything.
have nothing to do with it.
My community just has questions about stuff like that. So when I go back and report to them, I want to be able to say, well, this is what they said at this meeting or when they left. Second question is that we usually grill you guys, but what is it that you want us to be in the off time until we talk again? What is it that you want us to be monitoring? What do you think that we should be looking at as commissioners separately and collectively?
Community awareness. Okay, so if you're living in a certain area, it could be a street corner, whatever it is, you see something. Again, it's about documentation, it's about reporting it, it's about calling a neighbor. Hey, did you guys have an issue with? We just saw a guy walking out of your backyard. Okay, video feed. We just had that happen for my area, 14, where the community came together. They were actually able to get ring video, pass that information on to each other. They passed on us. We was actually able to apprehend the person like a week later.
The community is so appreciative to that. We pulled it all together.
And that was a serial burglary too. He had hit several places in this neighborhood. I was commissioners, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we need from, I would tell folks that no crime would ever be solved without, whether it's a stolen bike or a murder. We wouldn't solve anything if it wasn't for the community witnesses to help us out. So.
That's what happened
I
down
got
there.
one same clothing, same thing, same jacket, same issue, same tattoo showed up. It was like,
Great.
Country View did that. Remember, Lynn? We had block watches real strong going.
yes,
Country
Yes.
View, they all banded together and got the guy.
just passing information along. You guys know the community work is very important, and being safe. So taking pictures and videos, nail the guy.
Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We're gonna keep moving on with the agenda. Miss Jana.
I don't have too many updates. Obviously, you know that Edgewater is now under new ownership. They are under the same ownership as the apartment complex across the street. I believe that's Commons at Water's Edge. Yeah. They're under joint ownership. I believe they've had a little bit of issues recently with just issues associated with some of the maintenance that they're doing to the property. So water was turned off for a day. They were fixing the water lines and things like that. But their ownership has kept in pretty good communication with us. Other than that, I'm sure you've all heard that Eastland Mall is up for sale. We don't have any information on
All three parts.
that. No, I believe it is just the central Eastland Mall that's up for sale.
Is that inclusive of the school?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
You know, I'm coming to you about that area because it's still dangerous.
Yep.
Teachers been hit and it's.
Yeah, we're doing what we can. It's been complicated by the fact that the demolition crew resigned from the property. So they canceled their contract or ended their contract, and not long after that is when it was placed up for sale. So we're monitoring it. I know it's due back in court here in a couple of weeks. We send them everything. We try to make sure that they're aware and taking care of things. Unfortunately, it is just a really large property with an above average number of hazards. That is just really hard to manage all of those at once, and it's really hard to secure a half demolished building. So,
But we've got kids
Yep.
in that parking lot and parents, and there are over a dozen entry points that cars are going in and out and through. And so we've got to at least see what the city can do. There are a few orange stoppers up by the school, but the parking lot is above dangerous. It's above dangerous. If you've gone over there, you know, number one is the lighting at night, that you have the kids that are doing the tutoring programs when it's dark and the lights don't work in the parking lot. But mainly because I drive there every morning, it's utmost dangerous. I can see there's like 6 entry points coming in towards the mall from the school. The school is by where the old cafe used to be. And then there's 3 from the outside. So you've got cars that are coming in, all 3, plus the sides, plus the school buses, and it has the city bus stop there with the little covered area, what have you. But so many kids almost get hit. Teachers have gotten hit. I almost got hit. So we've got to.
I think part of the problem is that most of the entrances into this, into the area are supposed to be blocked off and closed. I think, because of the traffic to the place, entrances get opened. We've talked to them about making sure everything's secure, making sure there are only, controlled access to the building. We've also talked to the school about making sure their parking lot is adequately lit. I know there was an issue with the overhead lights going out, and we had talked to them about
because that guy climbed up that thing and fried himself trying to get the copper wire out of it, and it shot every light out in that old.
Well, we had talked to the school about getting some of those light things that you can just have
The
they're on
generator.
wheels, that they have outside of gas stations and stuff sometimes.
How do we hold them responsible though? Because for me, the most important part right now is making sure that parking lot is blocked off so we only have central ways to get in and out and everybody is not like trying to dodge each other. Super dangerous, super important. So how do we, I mean, because I've been talking to you like about this since last year and it's with the danger level of it and all, I don't want anybody else to get hurt. And we're like, okay, well, we talked to them. Well, how do we hold them
I
accountable?
think part of the issue is that the school is not technically we don't technically have a lawsuit against the school. We never have. Our lawsuit has always been against Eastland Mall proper and the old Sears building. So there's only so much we can do to hold the school accountable for things. I encourage you to, continue to reach out to the school as well to encourage them to make some of these changes. We'll do what we can. I do get confirmation every morning. There's a team, like a security team that goes out and makes sure the property is secure. We don't know what time they go out. I don't know how that corresponds to when parents are doing drop off or, when the school buses are coming. But I do know somebody's there every day checking. So
security is, they got security. I'm just talking about those cars because the kids are trying to walk to get to that city bus terminal right there in front, and you got all those cars just coming from all the directions and no stop. So I mean, if we wanted to file a report to make sure that gets safe, is that something we can do? I just want to be proactive because if that little kid is going to get hit, I mean, she's got the retention ponds down. I want this parking lot secure for anybody else getting hurt.
Reported in the 311 at all?
Yeah, reported 311. Talk to principals. I've been talking to Sophia. I mean, it's just that lady, that teacher. She's like from the neck down injured. So I just, like I said,
Actually, there shouldn't be no school in that building. Not with the construction going on and everything else. There shouldn't even be a school
but
for
we can't
safety
help that,
reasons
but we
even
can
over there.
possibly do something about making that parking lot more safe.
I think the issue is that no one's going to invest in, just candidly, no one's going to invest in adding things to a property that's in the middle of being demolished.
Well, what happens when a kid gets hit? Because then the city is
it is
responsible
the
for
school's responsibility to.
It's private property. It's their
It
responsibility. I think the issue is with the school. It's indicative of how much they actually care. One, that they're not doing anything. Two, it's a valid point. You shouldn't be operating a school near a construction zone like that. Well, I should say attached to a construction zone.
Well, if they don't do it, then who do you tell on them on to?
You just have to keep reporting them until they commit a crime or they fall suit become a public nuisance.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. I don't know what code enforcement could do. It's not public traffic. It's not. There are no technical code violations that I'm aware of in relation to the parking lot, putting aside like potholes and striping and things like that. It really is on the school to manage traffic to their own building. We've done what we can to try to, encourage them, but they've been kind of a subset of this case that hasn't ever been formally party to the case, even though they are, obviously involved. But they have been involved more so to make sure that the demolition of the building doesn't adversely impact the safety or like the health and well-being of the kids, especially when we were talking about asbestos remediation and like the vents inside the building.
It's almost like a professional squatter in the old mall because we can't do anything about them.
I mean, they are owned by a major private charter school corporation thing.
Well, they're chartered, so they get money from somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they get money from?
They get money from Columbus City.
Whoever they get money from, I'm sure they have.
Our tax money is paying for these schools.
From Ohio or state line.
But the school's been aware at all times of the state of the demolition, what's going on. The path forward that like the court has been taking on this. And
Well, there was a rumor going around because the other part of the mall had black mold and stuff in it. And they said it was in that building where the school is too. So
I don't believe that was, I know it was checked, and I believe that all of that was cleared before demolition even started. cleared as in they determined it wasn't an issue, at least as it related to the school. Because there was testimony.
You said you're going back to court in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, are you essentially trying to hold them accountable for the property as is?
So, with the demolition contract being canceled, that obviously impacts.
Does that make them in violation of the current order?
We're looking into it to look at, what the final order was and what the language is. It's our understanding that the language was if Eastland Mall defaulted on the contract, that they'd be in violation. I don't know that we had contemplated if the demolition crew bounced. So we'll obviously look into everything we can do.
And that was all over that carnival being on the property too during
Partially,
demolition.
yeah.
I'm assuming they're probably a contractor at risk or a manager at risk.
I would hope they'd find a new demolition crew, but I don't know that they're going to be able to, which I think is why they're just trying to list the property and get out of it. But
I can get out of it. I don't know why they went that way, but
so it's a complicated issue right now. As there has been for a while, there are a lot of unknowns. But I know Judge Mingo is the judge of the environmental court. She's been really hot on this. I don't think she's going to let up anytime soon. And we'll do our best to make sure we can at least have some parameters around this so that, Columbus isn't being adversely impacted by this giant mess.
But when you keep us informed, my kids go to Chatham. Got 3 kids in Chatham. So parents are even asking, do we re-enroll kids next year? They're asking us to re-enroll now for next year. So this type of information would vastly impact parents' decisions, what they need to do with their kids.
I mean, the demolition of Eastland Mall is not stopping in the big picture. It's not stopping until the mall's taken down. So for the foreseeable future, it's going to be a demolition zone.
Is there any new thing on Fort Rapids?
That's what I was going to ask. Is there any legal change with that?
Not that I know of. I believe that they are still in the process of selling it. I haven't heard that the seller has walked out. The last update I had on that was before the holidays. And typically no news is good news. They're just working through terms of the sale and getting through probate court and everything, because it'll be for probate court.
It's still the same intended buyers?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. Because that was my concern, because I know the down payment financiers decided to pull out.
As far as I know, they still are intending on purchasing the property. Yeah. I believe they asked for a little bit of time to find funding.
I think the pastor was making his rounds and trying to find funding.
Yeah, I think the complication in all of it is that, with them changing terms of the purchase agreement, it'll have to get reapproved by probate court, which opens it up to another round of comments from the prior owner. So, like I said, no news is good news on that. And, maybe by the end of 2026, we will have Eastland Mall and Fort Rapids wrapped up.
Oh,
it's been 10
there's
years.
no dangers with that building being there. Because again, my high schooler goes to the Arden College Preparatory Academy, which is directly across the school.
Well, Fort Rapids is much easier to secure because there aren't holes in the side of it. So it's easier for, a police car, a security car to drive around it and say, all the boards are still on the doors, we're good to go. I haven't heard of anybody breaking into the building for any reason in over a year at this point. And the last ones we knew of that broke into the building, it was handled pretty quickly. So I know that they're keeping eyes on it, and it is, as far as I'm concerned, well, I guess it does have a hole in it, but it's in a roof, so it's harder to
I was going to say, you're like, there's no hole, and I'm like,
yeah,
visible from the
yeah,
highway.
You just can't you can't scale it. But
yeah, you could scale it. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't trust its, stability at this point, but the hole is harder to get to, so
it's
yeah, seriously. But yeah, it's in a more stable condition than Eastland Mall, and I know that that's a really low bar, but it is true.
But is there any toxins in that building since it was like a water park?
I know that there were concerns with that at some point. I don't know when the last time environmental testing
If you
was
look
done.
at the video, the ones that went in there and took, they were calling it mold. It wasn't mold. You know how chlorine dries up, it leaves that white, powdery. That's what it is. And it's just dried up chlorine.
It's gotta be cold, it's not infecting the area environment.
No.
I don't think that the building that burned was even the one that had the
No.
floors in it. So I think that that building is still secure.
Yeah. Anything else?
Maybe, I don't know. If y'all have any questions, you know how to reach
We know how to reach you.
Yeah.
We know how to reach you.
If there ever anything you want me to update, every month, please let me know. In the meantime, if I hear anything about East Mall or about Fort Rapids, I'll be happy to update you.
Once it goes through whatever court date, you might just provide me with an update. Go for it. Cool. All right, Lynn, it's your time.
Thank you.
Real quick, because of AI, it's much easier to do minutes. You can do it from WebEx, AI notes, and we have a techie here who can probably determine what method is or what platform is best.
I don't use AI for notes. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't trust
Look,
it.
I ingrained AI into my life to use it, but I don't like it for notes.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
either.
I mean, it's an opportunity. We have a secretary here. It's an opportunity to make it easier. If you're interested in various platforms, I can provide you that.
Does the city have one that's walled off? No.
Today at staff meeting, we were talking about a few.
Well,
I can get you information, but if you're fine the way it is, I would.
well, here would be my commentary before they start disseminating this. There's a difference between a walled-off AI client and a non-walled-off AI client, and that difference is whether you put data on the web with what you're producing versus not. So, like at Ohio State, we have walled-off AI clients. We're not allowed to use unwalled clients.
Okay.
Whereas if I just go on ChatGPT or Gemini right now, it's unwalled. So that's something that you're going to have discussions about, because then it becomes potential legal ramifications on what information you're putting in versus not putting in, privacy, etc.
Well, basically minutes for the commission should be, voting information.
Right.
And just very basic information, treasurer's report, events, that kind of thing anyway. So it's a very simple process. I was just trying to see if the commission is interested, maybe even a simpler, but I hear another.
If the city was to provide a walled-off version, I don't have a problem. But if it's not walled, I won't use it.
But that didn't even come up in our.
Correct, because a lot of people don't educate themselves to know that.
Okay, so I appreciate that information. Also, for Black History Month, I had some information of COSI. If you want to pass those around, Commissioner Calhoun, I know that you have a love of youth, and this is a great opportunity for families to come for this Black History event at COSI. It is free, there'll be snacks, and it's a great opportunity for families. If you have any questions, that's your Canvas information, Commissioner Harper.
Yeah, I'm trying to still figure that out.
Okay.
I'm in there, but yeah, that's
Okay.
It's a different conversation. I've done it. Yeah.
So, does anyone have any questions? I know I'm working with you, Commissioner Calhoun. I do want to say that, and you may have said it at the last meeting, but we want to get treasurers, everything zeroed down, and everything paid by the end of March.
End of March. I thought
End of March, because we want to do it ahead of time.
I thought last year was the middle of April.
It is, but if you have anything that you want to need
I'll
to
make
vote
sure
on
it's zero.
in your next meeting,
Yep, I'll make sure it's zero.
the
By
end of March, and then payments, the last minute in terms of payments would be like the middle of April.
Okay, that means we have
Want
to do
get
everything,
things
pay everything.
preferably by the
I'll
end
get
of
it done.
March.
Trust me, I can get it to zero real quick.
Okay.
And if you could put
Let's
that
start getting
on
quotes. Okay.
the agenda in terms of getting what you need, so everything.
We made a list at the last meeting.
Can you send that out?
I will.
Great.
And finally, I know that Shredded Day was very successful at the Prosperity Center parking lot.
Right.
We had tried to get, I had tried to get a, what do you call it, a Rise Up Sea Bus at that site in September, but they are not ready, and they don't really have a good idea of what will be needed for the parking lot. If you're still looking at that parking lot, I think you should look maybe at another site, because when they told us Rise Up Sea Bus couldn't be done in September, it seems like there's a lot of work that still has to be done on that part.
Okay. I'll have to get with Tammy and ask her if they're expecting a difference in change with the perimeter fences or not.
Okay.
Because my guess is why they denied you is because of the size that would bring.
Okay.
Versus us, where cars just go in and out.
Well, I would suggest talk to Tammy.
I will.
And finally, I know there was a question about parks. President Chair Barnes said she wanted us to look at different parks for Rise Up Sea Bus since we couldn't have a Prosperity Center. And she gave us a list of parks. Bruce and I went out yet today and toured the parks. They are all away from the street. They're not facing the street, which means it would be hard to kind of showcase the parks.
What about not World Harvest, but the Church's Caddy Corner?
Dayspring.
Dayspring? What about them?
What's it called?
Dayspring?
We could check. We did not go to Dayspring. I know he needs a number of cars. He said about 60 vehicles that need to be parked on that property. But we can go there tomorrow.
And that potential great publicity for Ava's Farms and everything.
Okay, well we can go there tomorrow. We didn't go to that stop.
Especially with it being so close to, well, when are you looking for September?
Well,
is Gender Road Park supposed to be open by then?
He had planned for us because I wanted to go to Prosperity Center, but we can check Dayspring and see. But we are just trying to find some place that is close to the road that could accommodate a minimum of 60 vehicles for tabling.
Dayspring.
So we'll check. I'll talk to you about that.
Kevin was on our commission at one point. I'm assuming he wouldn't have an issue with just giving it. They have rec leagues out there all the time. But I'm just thinking, if it's in September, I'm thinking that the park is supposed to be open sometime this fall.
Ginger Park?
Yeah.
Bruce checked and said it would be, I think he said fall of 2026, but that's cutting it close.
Well, my thought process is you don't hold it at that park, but my thought process is we hold it at Dayspring, and that gives us an opportunity to start sending people that way. Okay. Because it's an in and out loop, and you'd be able to see the park. It's exposure.
Okay, well we went to about 5 parks, so we'll check out Dayspring.
Okay.
Any questions?
And then I got one.
Yeah.
Can you check with Department of Neighborhoods before I buy one?
Okay.
I was thinking about buying a portable Wi-Fi extender.
Okay.
That plugs into like an outlet to use over at Barnett when we're doing the firefighters kids toy drive.
Okay.
Because where they put us in that room, we have a hard time getting our laptops to work for the event.
Can you get that to the treasurer? I mean, as added on to your list.
I'm not saying for the city to buy it. I'd buy it out of my pocket.
Oh.
What I need you to check on is to see if they wouldn't have an issue with me buying one for us to use while we're there doing the event.
Well, if you wanna buy it and it's your money, unless there's a problem with Barnett.
Because we gotta supply our own printers.
Yeah, so you're supplying supplies already. That you,
Well,
um,
you'll have to check with IT to see if they allow that. If their firewall doesn't block it.
so if they allow it, even though she's gonna purchase it,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
That's what I need to find out, make sure before I purchase one to use, because we're having a hard time. We were trying to run them all off of, except for mine kept going in and out, and I was the only one using their internet. And the other ones, they were trying to run them all off of Jennifer's phone
So,
hotspot, and it's not working.
so you email me and let me know the places that you want to use that. Barnett would be one, price and.
No, we don't need it here. The internet
Okay.
works fine here.
Okay.
It's just that Barnett, it don't work.
You email me what the device is, I'll connect with Barnett. I'll just give them your email.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Great. Fantastic. The rest, I hope that we just
Thank
fly
you,
on.
Lynn.
Minutes. I didn't receive a copy of the minutes. Do you have a copy?
I'm sending, what I'm gonna do is well, I haven't yet gotten to that Gmail, but I've been having issues with my email, so people have been telling me they're trying to email me things about that. I'm sending stuff to you guys, I'm not sure if you're getting it or not.
It went to the second time you sent out the agenda that I finally got it.
Yeah.
Angela sent me an email not too long ago and said her stuff is going to the spam. I'm also getting multiple emails about changing my GSEAC password. And
So the option with what we really have with right now is the spam filter is completely off. Banji's 5 weeks behind in email, so whatever she's sending isn't current up to date.
But I just wanna, can I just send it to, if I have to send it to you and we connect on a Google Drive, that way if the people aren't getting it or you are specifically not getting it, you can see it in the drive.
Well, it's a twofold problem between the internet, between the email service provider, and your personal technology. So the question is, which side is it?
Right. I don't know, but I want you to have it in case. Like, I want to be able to put it like we can in a drive, even if you share the drive.
Right.
Somehow, you can just nab it in case you don't see it that in a minute. It's like, I'm going to send the minutes out tonight. And I want to make sure that you get it, because once I send it to you, it's like, it's not until beforehand.
Okay.
Because I have them and I want to put them all in there in a way that.
Will you also send us our makeup meetings?
Yeah, I thought I had. I'll resend that because I sent that out as well.
Okay.
Angela asked for it and I resent that. So I'll send that one. So with this one, you and I will figure out a way to just have a drive where I can just drop. And if you don't see it, you can at least check that drive because that'll be a two-way.
Okay. We'll make that something to do in 2 weeks. Great. Zoning applications, we have none. Are there any committee reports?
I would like to share with the commission that I am so excited. The legislation I am the original architect of, Kimani's Law, got a bill number the other day. So it's going through the legislative process. Like I mentioned, it's huge for me because I remember sitting in the kitchen designing this plan that's going to make sure that all Ohioan kids are safe. So I'm so happy Josh and his co-sponsor are getting this off the ground, and check out Humanity First page to keep track of that piece of legislation. Also, if you want to review it, that information is there. I tie it in with my youth because it directly affects us here, but Ohio in general. So it connects the police, the schools, the medical system, all at no cost to our taxpayers. And you can find out more information about that. So I'm just happy, sorry that I could do that, not only as a commissioner, but we see things all the time as commissioners, and we're always wondering, like, I ask the people, what can we do? And so to go through this process of, signing this legislation and getting tiring, but rewarding. So I want to report that legislation, HB 707.
Congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you.
You have great success through the legislative process.
Oh my gosh, I'm just hoping to teach the youth, and I wanted to ask the commission if it would be okay with the youth program, which I feel discuss how to build that out. But if we could have for the youth committee, perhaps getting the youth in here to learn about how the commissions work, how to get involved in the scope which they can, learn about how city government works and different things
You
like
can
that.
do it. My hat's off to you. I've been trying for years, and none of these schools will to participate. So
I've got some principals that's interested and some schools that's interested, and then of course now that I'm on the LGBTQIA plus commission, youth are interested in how to get involved, and I think at a local level, especially since spring break will be coming up, the summer will be coming up, it'll be a good time for them to assist the commission in things that we're being a part of and get their feet wet and zoning, different things like that, and how we work from a city, from a community standpoint, and then probably bridging in things from that lens and offer from departments and neighborhoods for.
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other committees? None? Great. There's no old business. As far as for the CDC Eastland Development for Growth and Equity, there's not much going on. They're just currently in the process of hiring an executive director, and then our hopes is that we'll start getting this off the ground. We're a little delayed because of some unforeseen things out of our control. Our goal was to have a kickoff with everyone in March, but that does not look likely. So hopefully before summer, we'll have an official kickoff. Obviously, we're going to invite all the area commissioners, try to get city council, the mayor, president, elected officials. But yeah, things are going to start happening. Anything else? Any old business from anyone else?
Question for you real quick, not gonna keep it long.
Yeah.
Wanted to find out, there was some happenings with the Mid Ohio Food Collective. I think Angela was mentioning that we weren't invited to.
I think it was completely separate, but Joyce Beatty did an inside tour. Rumor has it that we'll be contacted for one, but that's the rumor mill. I don't know how true that is. Obviously, they're very open with us, so that's an easy email to ask that we saw it. Is there any intentions for us to do it? But yes.
There'll be a number of tours.
Yeah.
There were tours before. I think State Representative Herschel Craig was on tour. There are going to be a number of tours.
Yeah.
And we will be invited to the tour. We were excluded. This was just one of the many tours they're going to have.
Well, how do we find out when our elected officials are having these tours in areas that we service? So, because we would like to be with them and hear from them, because we're answering questions to our community. That's information that they're sharing during that time that we probably would like to hear.
Well, I will find out when the next tours are and let them know that Greater Southeast Area would like to.
Okay. New business. I don't have anything. Banji's not giving me anything for a report of the chair in new business. So, anyone got any new business they want to share? Nothing. I do want to remind everyone that the groundbreaking ceremony for the senior assisted living is on Monday. It's from 3:30 to 4:30. I plan on making it. You're all welcome to come. I just know that we were,
I'll be there.
involved in that process with them, especially with funding. So it would be great if we showed up. Let me look. Is there anything?
Someone's right here, snow.
What date is that again?
It is Monday, March 2nd.
Monday, March
3:30 to 4:30.
That's for,
Over by Kroger,
Yeah,
across from Kroger.
Next month's zoning meeting will have to get moved. I'm gonna have to talk with Yulen on figuring out a day. The only days that will work for me are March 9th and March 23rd.
Email me,
Okay.
I'll see what I can find for calendar. And,
Okay. But other than that, I don't have anything.
since people are listening online, well, thank you for listening. These community events at the bottom. The one was tonight. For tomorrow, February the 25th, Representative Latina Humphrey has an event that's going to be at Barnett Community Center. Can I get a witness? I encourage anyone that can to attend so that you can I get a witness is quote unquote how to learn how to write testimony to present before your state legislators or before council. But since she is, state legislator, probably going to be more geared toward that. Her and Don Tavius, Representative Gerald, and Councilwoman Kiera Ross had a very good roundtable town hall at Union Grove last week that I attended. And it was very good so that people in the community can understand in layman's terms how the sausage is made at the State House, what barriers are needed, and how we as community members can give our voice, our input. Even it could be written, submission only, or you can give a oral testimony as well. And there's all different types of committees down there, and it just depends on how the speaker of the House, how he issues those out to the different committees. And so, and I'll digress my thoughts on that. But it'll be very good information for the community to know. So that is tomorrow, 68 Barnett Center, Representative Latina Humphrey, can I get a witness? And we all, I encourage, we're here, commissioners, as volunteers, to be able to share information with our community. So this is something that's much needed.
All right. Anything else? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Sorry.
We're adjourned. Hold on, let me end this video. We're live. We're hot. After these